The Israeli press machine is in full slander mode, telling the same lies they've told before about the people of Gaza and everyone else that they wish to exterminate, and that is exactly what they intend. They're saying that the Khadaffi loyalists were tying children onto their tanks as a defense. That's bullshit, just as it has been everywhere else. It is the Israelis who use others as shields because they have no conscience. Furthermore, ZATO will bomb those tanks no matter who's strapped to them, including their own mothers. I've got a burning question. What is all this uproar about ZATO turning the country of Libya over to Al-Qaeda? Have we forgotten that top-level CIA operatives have admitted that Al-Qaeda doesn't exist, except as a boogeyman to frighten those with the mind of a child? So where does this Al-Qaeda come from? Has Israel and the Crown Colonies suited up everyone that they could find in an Al-Qaeda costume, complete with an operation handbook, banners and flags? We be Al-Qaeda. The alternative press is filled with references to Al-Qaeda now. Is there an Al-Qaeda or not? Were they forced to invent it? Can I see a picture of an Al-Qaeda fighter from the combat zone? Now we are seeing what was expected all along from the murder of Libya by international bankers. The tribal factions are on the verge of turning on each other for their share of the swag. They are uniformly opposed to the civilian Chalabi clones having tea and cakes in some distant Arab resort far from the conflict, where they are engaged in carving up the country according to the international banker and corporate template. Everybody wants to be in charge, and that means big betrayals are on the horizon, and that means more blood-soaked sands, courtesy of Murder Incorporated. Someone wrote me yesterday to tell me that Khadaffi isn't even a dictator. Here is what he had to say. The same ones that produced the Holocaust lie have used the same technique to connect the words Khadaffi and brutal dictator to be inseparable. Actually, Khadaffi is not even a dictator. He turned power over to the people in 1977 using local committees as described in his Green Book, which blew my mind when I read it. Everyone who has dug deep into the man seems to be incredulous at the disparity between the popular opinion and actual reality. He is a great man loved by 90% of Libyans. There was a rally for him in Tripoli on July the 1st that China estimated at 1.7 million, 95% of the city's population, with a flag 6 kilometers long, both world records and no coverage at all. It boggles the mind. If this is true, then it is just another indication of how little I know. But it does make everything else I said about him at Petri dish more spot on than I was sure about at the time. All members of the human family should hold these terrible beasts in scorn and contempt. The enemies of humanity should be named and proclaimed from bridges and buildings around the world. Write their names in every public place. Speak of them whenever you speak in any public forum. Let them become known to the wider world as the heinous killers of their fellows for personal profit. I implore the cosmos to set them on fire in their shoes, a spontaneous combustion in celebration of the coming liberty of a new age, devoid of the soulless killer reptiles who now perform their cold-blooded psychopathy upon each and every one of us. Our greatest enemy is our own cowardice, ignorance and greed. Too many of us want to sit at the same tables with these brigands. Too many of us want to frolic in the spotlight like performing seals. Too many of us don't know shit from Shinola and we couldn't be more proud of the fact. Too many of us want to work on the banks of the tributaries of the river of darkness that flows from the dreadful vacancy where the souls of these misanthropes once resided. Nothing is more dangerous to ourselves and our fellows than the terrible self-deception we embrace in defense of our survival when our very lives are no more than timed cassettes in the cosmic tape player. Most of us have had it backwards since we learned to walk. Nearly all of us were telepathically invaded by bad parents and corrupt systems that turned us into drones and cannon fodder. Rebellion is an internal affair. First, you must rebel against your own shortcomings that compromise you as a daily affair. First, you must conquer yourself. Once that act is accomplished, there is no need to proclaim it. Your very example will shine and lead without having to say a thing. We are the primary enemy of ourselves. All other enemies are secondary extensions of this and possess power for only as long as we grant it to them in our unfortunate obeisances through the medium of our drawbacks. True courage, like true strength, is more an act of restraint than anything else. As the Bhagavad Gita tells us in all of its ancient and enduring clarity, we are at war and always have been, but we mistake the nature and composition of our enemies. Our enemies are within. The Bible and all of the other texts that are bent out of shape at the hands of those seeking to manipulate us through mindless fundamentalism are all filled with similar references. The references are deadly accurate. Our comprehension of them is not. As I have mentioned at other times, jihad is a spontaneous war against our internal limiters who are birthed from personal darkness. Once that has been completed, the war is won on every other plane. Job 1 is our deluded false self. Job 2 is the automatic submission of all other things false and temporary in every part of this deceptive world, whose very deception is no more than an extension of the primary deception within. The shadows that we fear are a fantastic enlargement of something much smaller. How many times have we startled at the appearance of a shadow that revealed itself as being cast by a friend? We have no real enemy but ourselves, so long as we are susceptible to the tremors of the encircling web. True vision cuts this web like a knife. There is no need for action. The seeing is the ticket. The plotters and bloodsuckers are marching to the grand denouement. Like every other final game that has preceded it, the dice are loaded and the result is the same. No one ever takes over the world. The world is a living vessel that retreats at the mere approach of the profane. Lao Tzu said it all in the simplest way, with all attendant brevity. Civilizations rise and fall. So do politicians, bankers, and all the rest. They blow up like dirigibles in their self-importance and are then engulfed in the flames of retribution. When the greater awakening descends upon the masses, it will be bringing a clarity that will compel the seemingly mighty to tremble wherever they are. Some number will simply kill themselves. It is the nature of the beast. We are going to witness and experience things that might seem fantastic at this juncture, and to each the level of awareness in return will be consonant with their efforts upon their own being, in tandem with whatever other efforts have been made in respect of them. I'm not telling you anything new. It's all happened before, and the record of these events expunged by those who profit from the absence of historical reference. The burning of the library at Alexandria was all about this. The falsification of history by those employed at it has all been about the control of the masses and the systems that oppress them. Since there has never been any time but now, now must be the time. Let's see what sort of effort we are capable of and how much fear and trembling we can take.